Hi there, this is Jonathan Ginsberg. I'm a Social Security disability attorney, and today I'd like to answer the question, why is it so difficult for veterans to win Social Security disability for PTSD? And this question, I want to give credit to a gentleman named Reggie, who saw my video on the YouTube channel about my request that people send in questions. I said, what's your most important question about Social Security disability? I've gotten some great responses, and one of them came from Reggie, who's asking, why is it so difficult for veterans to win disability benefits for PTSD? And let me answer that in a couple of different ways. First of all, I think PTSD in general is difficult to win, as are any mental health cases, because you can't really objectively confirm the existence of a mental health condition. There's no brain test. I mean, there are a few functional PET scans, I guess, but for the most part, depression, anxiety, PTSD, you cannot image them. So it really boils down to what your doctors have to say about it. So first of all, just inherently, I think there's a trend against Social Security judges approving PTSD depression cases, unless, by the way, the one exception to that is if your record shows one or more suicide attempts or one or more recent psychiatric hospitalizations. That tends to move the meter a little bit as far as Social Security is concerned. If you have one of those or both of those in your record, your odds of winning depression or PTSD cases go way up. Although it shouldn't be have to be that severe, but that's just the way it is. As far as veterans, I think one of the reasons this is specifically and uniquely hard for veterans to win is that a lot of times for veterans, most of their records come from the VA. And the VA, I think, again, there's efforts to try to make it better. Right now, when I get a VA record, it may be 700 pages. And what you see in it is everything is done on these forms, and essentially when you go to the VA doctor, they fill out a form for today's visit, and then a copy of the last 10 or 15 visits are also included in that. So within that 700 pages, there may be 120 pages of unique content. The rest of it is just copies of the same thing over and over and over. So as a practical matter, VA records are very, very difficult to parse. Judges don't have the time to go through 700 pages of records and to figure out what's duplicate and what's not. I think VA doctors, especially psychiatrists and psychologists, they're reluctant to document a disabling level of condition. I think a few years ago there was a big scandal. I think it was in Texas. A VA doctor, the head VA doctor at the Texas VA they caught him, I think it was the doctor, maybe an administrator, caught them sending out notices to the psychologist not to diagnose PTSD because they're trying to avoid VA claims. So I think there's kind of a built-in bias there. There's also it's a very odd formality to VA records where the doctors just don't want to come out and say that you're disabled. It's just very, very odd. So the records just are not really conducive to helping Social Security recognize the severity of your problem. Also with the VA, there's a lot of group therapy, and so the records from group therapy tend to be very vague and non-definitive about things. So there's just a big difference between VA psychiatric records and private psychologist or psychiatrist records, which really go more towards what Social Security is looking for, and that is problems with work capacity. Further, VA doctors are very reluctant to fill out functional capacity evaluations, which is really what you need, in my view, to win a mental health case, a PTSD case, where you have a long-time treating doctor basically say that in a functional capacity form that your capacity to be reliable or behave in an emotionally stable manner has been so compromised by your flashbacks, your medications, your symptoms, you would not be a reliable worker. VA doctors just don't like filling those out, and also at the VA, doctors come and go. So, if you've been treating at the VA for 4 or 5 years, you may have seen 2 or 3 or 4 different psychiatrists, and of course you may see the psychiatrist once every 5 or 6 months, then the psychologist or therapist, every 2 weeks, or by phone, and those people change. So it's just VA records are just not really good for Social Security. That's why I tell all my clients, if they've got VA records, they can really help their case by going to a private psychiatrist or psychologist and get some evaluation there. That really adds some meat to the VA records and makes it much more likely we're going to win. But that, I would say, the main reason is that the VA records are just not all that helpful for Social Security. Also, and I think I may mention this in a previous video, a VA determination that you're 100% permanent and total disability, service-connected, is not binding on Social Security. I don't know why, it's a government agency, but it's not. So Social Security judges are not bound by it. They will consider it, but again, they're looking at specifically, they're not looking at percentages, because in the VA, as you know, they start you out at some percentage, 60%, 70%, and over time you kind of incrementally work your way up, whereas Social Security is sort of all or nothing type of thing. Social Security judges just are not going to give VA disability ratings any sort of weight, or very much weight. So I think it's VA records. I think it's just the nature of the VA treatment, and the inability to get forms. So again, if you are a VA patient and you're a veteran and you've got PTSD, I would tell you, that you're much better off supplementing your VA treatment with private doctors, and recognize that for better or for worse, what seems to move the meter for Social Security are the suicide attempts and the inpatient hospitalizations, and that could be at the VA. But that level of impairment is what you need. When you talk to hopefully your private doctor, really make sure the doctor understands what you've been going through and how difficult it is, what the flashbacks do, and how difficult it makes it for you to engage in activities of daily living or doing anything really constructive at all. So hope you found this helpful. Reggie, again, thank you very much for the question. If you thought this video was helpful, I would appreciate it if you would give it a thumbs up on YouTube, like it on Facebook, subscribe to my YouTube channel, like our Facebook page, visit my website at ssdanswers.com. You can download my Secrets to Winning Disability Survival Kit. It is delivered by email. I've got 30 installments at this point. I keep adding to it. And if you want a case evaluation, happy to give you one of those. But I only do it for people who are not represented. If you've already got an attorney, I'm not going to poach another attorney's client, so I do not do case evaluations for people who are already represented. But if you're not represented and you'd like me to take a look, happy to do so. My name again is Jonathan Ginsberg, and I do wish you the best. Thanks a lot. Hi, this is Jonathan Ginsberg, and I hope you found this video helpful. If you'd like to know more about how to win your Social Security disability case, I'd like to invite you to download my Secrets to Getting Approved Early Survival Kit that I created just for people like you. Currently, I'm making the survival kit available at no cost, and I encourage you to grab your copy now. Some of the topics I cover include: how do I know if I have a case? Is it the right time for me to file my claim? 9 common mistakes that can doom your case. The 3 must-have arguments you use to win your case. And a topic that every disability claimant wants to know: how to avoid trick questions from the judge. If you or a loved one need to win Social Security disability benefits, you'll find the Survival Kit essential reading. Download your Survival Kit right now and at no cost. Just visit ssdanswers.com/survival and sign up. It's that easy. Please act now. And as always, I wish you the best.